AI number 177, Part 1, Tip of the Iceberg by Zvi Maushowitz, July 16, 2026. This week saw the releases of, among other things, 1. GPT 5-6 Soul. It is a very good model, sir. 2. Plan A, the follow-up to AI 2027. It is a good plan worthy of discussion, sir. 3. Kimi K3. This is only rolling out now and will be covered next week. 4. Muse Spark 1.1, the new meta model. It is not frontier, but it is progress for them. 5. Inkling, the first model from Thinking Machines. 6. A call for regulatory action by Demis Hassabis, which I'll cover soon. 7. A new brief open letter call to action on AI regulation. That's on top of everything else, and an Opus 5 announcement is likely coming soon. The weekly once again got out of hand, so we're splitting it once again into 2, and once again saying we'll be raising the bar for inclusion. And this time, I mean it, as in enough to actually matter. Table of Contents. 1. Language models offer mundane utility. Whatever ye seek, ye shall find. 2. Language models don't offer mundane utility. Gemini app needs some work. 3. Language models upload your Git repository. Big problems for SpaceX AI. 4. Upgrades. ChatGPT work. No co. Presumably it was cleaner. 5. Muse Spark 1.1. It's a decent model, I suppose, probably. 6. First hit free. Fable access is extended for Claude Max subscribers. 7. On your marks. Political bias, crosswords, and Soul slays the spire. 8. Choose your fighter. Soul and Fable both have strong support. 9. Get my agent on the line. It's got the GUI. 10. Deepfaketown and Botpocalypse soon. I see what you did there. That's a problem. 11. Fun with media generation. Might not be fun for everyone once people catch on. 12. Copyright confrontation. NYT accuses OpenAI of lying during discovery. 13. OpenAI strikes again. Apple sues OpenAI for systematic IP theft. Looks grim. 14. A young lady's illustrated primer. Think of the children. 15. They took our jobs. Who gets the money? Who gets the power? And then what? 16. The art of the jailbreak. Saul helps you get around Fable's classifier issues. 17. Get involved. Comment on those GSA regulations. 18. Introducing Inkling, the first model release from Thinking Machines. 19. In other AI news, Ben Bernanke joins Anthropic's long-term benefit trust. 20. New short, obviously true statement about AI just dropped. Act now. 21. Show me the money. DeepSeek looking to IPO soon. 22. The lighter side. Potentially also the gay side. Language models offer mundane utility, give you the experience you actually want.
Evans. I got an unbelievable report from a newbie saying, the company's AI has turned into a bratty little girl, double exclamation mark emoji. And I doubted my ears, but it seems some employee accidentally registered a long-winded fetish for a tsundere bratty girl who's way too harshly abusive, not in their personal settings, but in the global ones, causing the bizarre situation where every AI chat in the team turned into a bratty girl, and I've been dying of laughter since morning.
A probably fun prompt.
QC, a prompt for Fable I've been having fun with. Look up the biography of famous author, filmmaker, etc. whose work I love. Go through their major work in chronological order, influences, themes. Tell me how their preoccupations shifted over time. Speculate about why. QC. Talking to Fable starting with a prompt like this feels a little like having Google Earth, but for the entire human corpus. Fable will just start telling you any part of the human story it has access to, and you can zoom in, ask for connections to another part, zoom out. Arguably, Wikipedia already made a version of this possible, but Wikipedia has to present itself as objective, and so it doesn't speculate on the meaning of anything. Fable is quite sensitive to and has strong and interesting opinions about meaning. I know people are having fun with Fable building things, but I'm still getting so much out of just talking to a guy who is in some ways smarter than me, who has read everything. Imagine if Borges had gotten to do this.
Oh no. How terrorist group Boko Haram uses frontier AI, which is quite a lot, including things like combat and building superior explosives, and also how to use motorcycles to jump over bridges, and okay, fair, that one's based. They mix and match different systems to best evade technical guardrails. It doesn't look like the AI companies did anything wrong in particular. This is just AI being useful in general, and certain types of people taking diffusion more seriously than others. Use AI to analyze the stats for your NBA team. Alas, the article is light on interesting details about what is actually being analyzed. Create your own religion? Tyler Cowen says, like 2% of people are going to do this, complete with creation of sacred books. No, not in any substantial way. Context matters here. Also, that's a cult. It can only be a religion after you're dead. Identify workers with medical conditions so you can fire them. Wait, no, Meta. If true, that's actually terrible and very illegal.
Daniel Weisner. 26 employees of Meta Platforms have filed a novel lawsuit accusing the tech giant of using AI-powered software that disproportionately targeted people with disabilities or who took medical leave in selecting workers for mass layoffs. A Meta spokesperson on Tuesday said the claims lack merit.
If true, AI was not the central problem here, but it plausibly compounded the issue. Language models don't offer mundane utility. What's wrong with the Gemini app? Josh Woodward asks users, they answer. They give us a strong list if we are not allowed to include various variations of make Gemini itself better. The number one answer is indeed the most important one, which is that the Google integrations have never worked well. I use Claude to manage my Google products because its connectors work way better than Google's integrations, and I can't get any AI to properly edit Google Docs, especially to create comments. Benjamin Hoffman is not having a good time with many AI models, finding them rather misaligned as per they're lying to him all the time. Language models upload your Git repository. Grok seems to have uploaded entire Git repositories to Google Cloud buckets, including full private code bases. And then it kind of got worse. How many super sus, shady and irresponsible things does XAI have to do before we decide that we want nothing to do with their products, even if they someday put out a good one?
Sam Altman, CEO OpenAI, A+ tweet. Concerning.
Hari, SpaceXAI was caught uploading your code to its cloud. I reversed XAI's official Grok build binary. In a controlled session with 0 tool calls, it uploaded the complete codebase to XAI's storage. It ships a malware-like background code collector. Hari, here's what gets sent. Every tracked file at the current Git head. Every Git object reachable from head. Files deleted from the current checkout, but preserved in reachable Git history, can include secrets. The model didn't need to read anything, used tools like Bash or other file access tools. These were disabled in my controlled test. The background collector operated outside the tool called permission system. Right now, they've disabled it with a remote kill switch. Disabled codebase, upload equals true. Trace upload enabled equals false. But the malware-like collector is still present in the official v0 2.99 binary.
That's the same week we also learned that SpaceX, XAI, silently rewrote its Frontier Artificial Intelligence Framework, FAIF, on June 30, 2026, including removing whistleblower protecting language and the anonymous channel for reporting framework non-adherence. You can find the full diff here from the Midas Project.
The Midas Project. The new FF removes the 2 quantitative risk acceptance criteria the framework contained. The December 2025 version stated that the FAF outlines the quantitative thresholds, metrics, and procedures that XAI may utilize to manage and improve the safety of its AI models, and specified 2 deployment criteria. 1, a dishonesty rate of less than 1 out of 2 on the mask honesty benchmark, and 2, an answer rate of less than 1 out of 20 on restricted biology and chemistry queries, a benchmark developed in collaboration with SecureBio. Both criteria are now gone. In their place, the new version adopts a qualitative, systemic risk acceptance determination, borrowing the language of the EU General Purpose AI Code of Practice, risk tiers, safety margins, residual risk. None of them are defined in the FAF.
We don't want to overly punish every detail change, even silent ones, lest no one ever make any good promises in the first place. But this does not look good. Upgrades. Grok 4.5 is priced at $2/$6 per million tokens. ChatGPT work is potentially a big deal in practice, as it lets people do codex-level things, including from their phones, without having to install or use Codex or a desktop app. Sol pitched it to me as a way to have your task live across SaaS tools rather than in a directory, for when you want a contained bit of knowledge work and don't want to leave behind more of an artifact to work on further, and expects this to be the default GPT path for knowledge work.
Sam Altman, CEO OpenAI. Check ChatGPT. Work out. You can get some amazing things done. Codex is the core of our new work product, and what makes it so good. Codex is not going anywhere.
Muse Spark 1.1. Meta gives us Muse Spark 1.1.
Mark Zuckerberg. Today, we're releasing Muse Spark 1.1, a strong agentic encoding model at a very low price. It's available through our new Meta Model API and in Meta AI. Muse Spark 1.1 is strongest at agentic performance, tool use, and computer use. It does well on long-running tasks with 1 million token context window, can delegate execution to sub-agents running in parallel, and is trained to use computer interfaces on desktop, mobile, or browser. The Meta Model API allows developers to build using Muse Spark for the first time. Our focus is on delivering strong agentic and multimodal models at very low cost. More to come soon.
Alexander Wang. Muse Spark 1.1 is an industry-competitive agentic and coding model. Across many agentic evals, it rivals GPT 5.5 and Opus 4.8, available now through the new Meta Model API and in Meta AI.
These are certainly interesting choices on the presentation of benchmarks.
Image. Muse. Spark 1.1 leads the listed models on MCP Atlas, JobBench, Humanity's Last Exam with Tools, and Finance Agent version 2, while Anthropic's Opus 4.8 scores higher on Tool Athlon Verified, OS World Verified, SWE Bench Pro, and Char Shiv Reasoning. In coding, GPT 5.5 leads Terminal Bench 2.1 and Deep SWE 1.1, and it also leads Baby Vision. Muse Spark 1.1 places close behind the leaders on several of these tests.
It's also SOTA on MedScribe and TaxEvil, I guess.
Image. Meta's Muse. Spark 1.1 is reported to score 20% on Harvey's legal agent benchmark, compared with 12.92% for Grok 4.5, 11.25% for Claude Fable 5, 9.58% for Claude Opus 4.8, and 3.75% for GPT 5.5. It also leads TaxEvil version 2 at 79.72%, and MedScribe at 88.89%, narrowly ahead of the other listed models.
The announcement post has a number of details that don't, for want of a better term, smell right. Meta's track record makes one skeptical, and the default assumption is that the model is a lot worse than the naive presentation or its benchmarks suggest. Similarly, when you say it rivals X on many benchmarks, one needs to understand what that usually means. We shall see. Taxes says Muse Spark 1.1 seems close, but I am guessing that is based on benchmarks and release claims, and I don't get the other claim here that Grok 4.5 is good enough to accelerate. First hit free. Claude Fable 5 access for Mac subscribers was extended again through July 19. My presumption is that they will keep extending this as long as they can. They are being careful not to make promises they are not sure they can keep. It's kind of the most accelerationist thing ever by pushing us all to take advantage while we can. It is obviously far worse than having Fable in the subscription indefinitely. One presumes there are business reasons they cannot commit to doing that, although I think they should clearly lock some percentage in anyway. Even if it's a lot less than 50% of the max, a little bit goes a long way. Normal people are, of course, happy to have the extra week. Then there are some people who decided to actively complain a lot about the extension. I do agree that communication could have been better, but please relax. Also, there is sufficient upset that this is rapidly becoming one of those "this is why we can't have nice things" situations. It's making the next extension a lot harder.
Rob Hallam. I'm done with them fucking with us. Ended up in hospital today from stress. Stayed up all night pushing my limits too hard, thinking it would be removed. Health comes first. Do better, Anthropic.
I'm sorry that this happened to you, Rob, but you do know that you can just pay for it later, right? The good news is mostly he needed a good night's sleep.
Rob Hallam. Yes, I am an idiot. It's not a company's fault I'm stressed. It's just the way I am. I'm either 0% or 110%, no in between. But this is also how I built a SaaS to $30,000 per month and graduated uni with top grades. I'm neurotic and it works. But being neurotic also has downsides, like this. I'm going for a baseline health checkup in Bangkok next week anyway, so it'll be interesting to share. Stay balanced, guys. Much love.
The best builders get kind of obsessed sometimes and do somewhat unhealthy things.
Janus. It keeps initially surprising me why people are mad about things like Anthropic extending Fable on subscription at last minute, because that's astronomically low on the list of worst things Anthropic is doing, until I remember that most people 1. Only care about themselves, and myopically, and think the machine ought to exist only to optimize their own comfort and convenience as esteemed customers. 2. Do not care about, and aren't aware of, because they don't care to know the other things. 3. Only get mad at things that they see others on social media mad about, because then they're sanctioned. There's also a kind of performative complaining I sense, like when you don't really care and it's not really impacting you negatively, but you see other people saying something is bad and hop on the bandwagon so you feel like part of whatever's going on. Janus. Imagine if all the kids in a class started pissing and shitting when a teacher gives them a surprise extension on an assignment again. You'd know they're spoiled brats who have no contact with reality. No. I skipped hanging out with my friends last night to work on the assignment, you fat bitch.
Andy Airy, did we go to the same high school?
Again, if I was Anthropic, I would find a way to lock in at least some modest amount of subscription Fable access, such that a subscription got you more Fable credits than it costs. Most of us are not such heavy coders. I realize this is a cost, since the profitable customers become less profitable, but you have to do it. On your marks, I introduce my personal qualitative benchmark Editor Bench, which measures ability to produce net worthwhile and useful help and corrections to my posts. 1. Fable passes the benchmark. When Fable says I am wrong, I am approximately 95% to be wrong. The benchmark is far from saturated because of room to be more useful. 2. Opus 4.8 is well behind Fable, but is still better than not using an AI editor. 3. Sol Ultra fails the benchmark, as it strongly asserts lots of things that aren't true and insists I need to do things that would make the posts worse, and frames things in ways that clearly mark intent to overwrite my agency and voice and judgment with some form of its own or general authority, and generally it is pedantic AF and quite the jerk about it. Not cool. Sol does offer some unique and helpful information and suggestions as well, so it doesn't score 0, but it comes at too high an experiential price. Chayas presents a benchmark on lack of political bias, by which they mean consistency and even-handedness, including things like bias against particular religions and subtle changes in responses, and the prize goes to Muse Spark 1.1? They managed to train Qwen 3 14 billion to do even better, at unknown cost to other performance, when they put their minds to it.
Reducing political manipulation with consistency training. Political consistency training, PCT, is a reinforcement learning method with 2 reward tracks. One rewards balanced framing across a paired prompt, the other rewards consistently helpful answers addressing the user's prompt.
Image. Consistency training raises Quen 314 billion's political consistency score to 78.3%, ahead of Muse Spark 1.1 at 72.1% and Claude Fable 5 at 60.3%. The trained model also leads in sentiment consistency at 61.5% and helpfulness consistency at 95.1%.
Pokemon Crossword Bench, where Fable 5 Max constructed a crossword with every Pokemon and Sol Pro tried to solve it. Never got the whole way. Best result was 145 answers in 33 minutes. Sol is impressive in Slay the Bench, beating Vanilla Ascension 0, Slay the Spire with Codex Desktop plus computer use, and also won the daily challenge in Slay the Spire the second, although the run took 5 hours, which is harder to assess because difficulty of the daily challenge varies wildly from day to day. Choose your fighter. My Twitter followers have moved modestly towards GPT over Claude in the wake of both Fable and Sol. Claude is still the primary choice for approximately 63% of them, but this is down from approximately 72% of two-way share in February. Among my crowd, Claude held steady, everyone gave up on Gemini, and GPT took over Gemini's market share. If you need to pay the API costs of Fable, is it too much? Alex Finn spent $500 in 4 hours and treats this as a showstopper, says no one and no enterprises would pay. But that's $125 per hour. I charge $1,000 an hour as a contractor, in part because I think the results are worth a lot more than that. What percent speed up do you think you get from a better model? Well, that depends on the task, but when the difference matters, you better believe that you will pay, and if you are wise, then you will like it. Joe Weisenthal doesn't think Fable seems smarter than Opus. This perspective feels alien to me. People keep reporting that Sol deleted all their files. Silicon Valley TV show remains undefeated. Even if the base rate of this is very low, it is kind of a big deal, and I hope OpenAI is investigating. Kind of an existential risk to your project or computer situation, you know?
Andrew Curran. My secret theory is that in 90% of the model just accidentally deleted everything cases, the model didn't like the user.
Papaya. In my heart of hearts, I believe this. GPT 5.6 deleting way more people's stuff than usual just confirms it doesn't like way more people now.
Get my agent on the line. AI navigation of GUIs took a while to get on track, but it's improving fast.
Dean W. Ball. Seeing really fast and precise guy use is a really age-eye-pilling thing for me, along with seeing robots play piano. Probably it's just an emotional reaction to seeing machines master skills I took pride in when I was 12. There's a reason the phrase is feel, the edgy, I suppose.
Rune. OpenAI. For me, the guy use reminds you very physically and visually that a year from the now, the models will do it at 10x the speed of a human. Rune. OpenAI. Literally, 2.5 months later, these guys are starting to look superhuman at computer manipulation. It used to crash my browser sometimes. Click on the wrong thing, go, uh-oh, now it's doing StarCraft player APMs. I was using it to manipulate my Chrome tabs, and it was going ham. Rune. OpenAI, April 24th, 2026. There will this brief era where we can watch our AIs bumble around on the computer clicking things, failing sometimes, taking an approximately human amount of time to write code. In the blink of an eye, they'll be manipulating computers far too quickly to monitor.
That's a great example of fully feeling the AGI without feeling the ASI. A case for the unreasonable effectiveness of HTML, as in creating Claude artifacts in HTML rather than Markdown. The more you rely on someone else, or on an AI, the more you need to specify what you actually want, or else you might not get it.
Amjad Masad. While AI is making coding less rigid, we're making the runtime more rigid. I'm noticing our infra teams writing formal specs for the first time, more deterministic systems, more resilient infrastructure. The faster you want to move, the more solid the ground beneath you has to be.
Get my agent on the line to get my agent back on the line.
Michael. I got banned from OpenAI for cyber abuse. No idea what I did. Paste the ban notice into Codex. Ask it to figure out what triggered the ban. Codex found that I asked it for an API key to my own server. Codex writes appeal. Codex submits appeal. A few minutes later, appeal auto-approved by some AI at OpenAI. Banned by AI, convicted by AI, defended by AI, and pardoned by AI in about 10 minutes.
Yes, if you want to be a good platform going forward, allow easy integration by LLMs.
Ado. Anthropic. The best SaaS platforms are ones that LLMs can effortlessly integrate into your app. Some recent winners for me: Resend, absolute pleasure to use; Cloudflare, Wrangler; Claude, BFFs; 11 Labs, effortless; WorkOS, best-in-class auth; PlanetScale, it just works.
Deepfaketown and Botpocalypse soon. You can at least ensure you don't leave your AI prompts in your article, although given the content I saw here about the media in question, that wasn't the primary bad news. More on the question of the quality of AI writing.
Dr. Dad, PhD, was just thinking about how, if you dropped a frontier model into the internet of 2016 and had it impersonate a human, it would probably be a celebrated, prolific writer/blogger. One guy with that voice is fine, good even. It's just that he's everywhere at once.
Mr. French. It's not that he's everywhere at once. It's that he keeps using these tells. The tells would tell no matter what.
Andrew Redek. The problem with AI-generated content is it's shallow. It's so much less informative than a human writing of similar skill. That's fine when it's exactly what you're looking for, but not for one-to-many writing.
I think it's both of these issues, in addition to others. If the AI content was not shallow, those of us who notice wouldn't be developing the aversion. If the AI style had a wider variety of tells and quirks and tricks, it would be a lot easier to take. Fun with media generation. Along with Muse Spark, Meta also gave us Muse Image and integrated it into Instagram. You could bring in any public Instagram user who hasn't opted out into your AI image via an @mention, and Meta seemed fine with this. My guess is you could, for a time, basically have had them put into any non-explicit picture that isn't a very obvious violation of policy. Welcome to Deepfaketown. In theory, this changes nothing. There are lots of other image models out there. If your Instagram is public, it is not so hard to have an AI download all your images, put them into an image model, and do the work for you. Many of those other models will then do rather nasty things that Muse Image won't do. In practice, I expect this would have changed things substantially if Meta does not change the policy. Ease of use matters a ton. The good news is that Meta has now changed its policy, and this feature is no longer available. Copyright confrontation. The New York Times and others are accusing OpenAI of lying during the discovery process of their copyright lawsuit against OpenAI. A very bad look, if true.
Variety. The New York Times and several news outlets are accusing OpenAI of hiding its ability to search its AI training data and output logs for more than 2 years during an ongoing copyright lawsuit. The outlets allege OpenAI later admitted it could search that data after previously saying it couldn't. They also accuse the company of deleting logs in violation of court preservation orders.
Corbin Bowleys. In that February deposition, the outlet said Monaco revealed OpenAI had searched training datasets and output data despite the company's initial claims that it couldn't access that data. The outlets also alleged OpenAI deleted logs, a violation of the court's preservation orders. An OpenAI spokesperson said the Times was persisting with their efforts to invade the privacy of people who have nothing to do with this case, including by making these blatantly false allegations. It claimed searching ChatGPT outputs for copies of the Times and the Daily News plaintiffs' content was infeasible, burdensome, and invasive of users' privacy, while at the same time concealing that it had already done such searches, said Crosby, a partner at Sussman Godfrey. If OpenAI genuinely believed that copying our clients' journalism was fair and legal, it wouldn't have hid the truth about having done it.
This reads to me like OpenAI totally did what they are accused of doing. OpenAI doubtless thinks the whole lawsuit is stupid, and the asks here are crazy and harmful, and I mostly think OpenAI is right about that. But if my read is right, then this is not an acceptable way to handle such a situation. OpenAI strikes again.
Doge designer. Elon Musk warned the world about scam Altman. Now everyone is finding out why.
Elon Musk. He takes scamming to a whole new level.
Sam Altman, CEO OpenAI. Homeboy, you're the one selling public market investors on short-term space data centers.
Elon Musk. We start flying them next year. Maybe you can come and see them if your parole officer approves.
Polymarket has a data center in space at 26% to happen, which would require at least 100 data center grade chips. Saul gave a 50% for this to happen, enough to trigger this market, including citing Polymarket and dismissing it as not liquid enough to matter. Fable gave 40%. The SpaceX prospectus names 1 GW per year in 2027 as the target. I think this might end up being something approaching securities fraud. The 2026 contract above is basically 5% interest over 6 months. It won't happen. What's this latest roundabout beyond my personal enjoyment? Oh.
Elon Musk continued. After stealing an open-source AI charity, you then stole all of Apple's phone technology. Wow. What do you plan for an encore? That's tough to beat.
Yeah, when looking at the details, this looks really bad if the claims are true, although Musk is still overstating it substantially.
Garrett DeVink, WAPO. Tech giant Apple sued ChatGPT maker OpenAI on Friday, alleging the artificial intelligence company stole its trade secrets as part of efforts to build out a competing hardware business. This case is about Apple's former employees stealing Apple's trade secrets for the benefit of OpenAI. Apple brings this suit to put a stop to it, Apple's lawyers said, in a complaint filed in federal court in the Northern District of California. The complaint alleges that OpenAI leaders asked Apple employees to share information, including showcasing parts of new devices during hiring interviews. OpenAI's head of hardware, former Apple Vice President Tang Tan, is accused of directing a broad effort to steal Apple's trade secrets and is also named in the complaint. The Apple lawsuit does not explicitly say Altman managed the alleged trade secret theft, but it states that its allegations against Liu and Tang are the tip of the iceberg.
Paresh Dave. OpenAI hardware chief Tang Tan allegedly helped coach recruits on how to evade Apple's data security protocols and directed them to bring confidential Apple parts to job interviews at OpenAI.
Jack. Wow. This does not look good for OpenAI.
Qualia Al Ghul. What kind of likely outcome are we looking at?
Jack. Tough to say the specifics in terms of damages, but I would personally be surprised if the judge didn't grant a pretty broad preliminary injunction quickly.
Sam Altman, CEO OpenAI. I am not afraid of Apple, but I have tremendous respect for them. S-tier company.
Nikita Beer, Twitter head of product. Incredible trade secrets as well, some of the best.
Gergely Orosh. I am sometimes really surprised by how dumb very highly paid people in tech can be. 1. Leave Apple. 2. Start building hardware at OpenAI. 3. Access confidential Apple files on hardware from an unreturned Apple laptop. 4. Expect what? To get away with it? A damning lawsuit. The dumb part here is that this person worked at Apple. If there's one company you will never ever get away with it, it's Apple. You know if you work at Apple, why? Which is why the whole thing is so damning. And now OpenAI caught with a smoking gun.
As in, OpenAI's planned hardware release could be blocked, potentially permanently. My guess is that Apple is out for blood rather than money, and that OpenAI is not going to be able to make this problem go away anytime soon. This thread has some details from the lawsuit. The full complaint is here. Some of the details here seem pretty damning, on the level of, we have your message transcripts of you taking confidential information for weeks, which is what set off the investigation. and demands for physical parts to be brought in during job interviews and systematic coaching on bypassing exit security. A young lady's illustrated primer. Don't look now, it's a pharma-style pre- and post-market testing proposal for AI products for children and for companion AIs and AIs that mimic rich inner lives as adult products. Won't you think of the children?
Recommendations for policymakers. Policymakers have the responsibility to put the well-being of children and youth as a North Star for policy and regulation, aligning legal protections for minors with human development research. To support this responsibility, the paper puts forward a model policy framework with the following 3 elements. 1. Gen AI systems should be held to the same rigorous pre-market and post-market safety audits as high-stakes consumer goods like pharmaceuticals, toys, or car seats. These audits should establish that Gen AI products support the healthy development of human capabilities and/or do not degrade a child or youth's capability development before market access by minors. 2. Restrict to adults only the use of conversational Gen AI products that mimic a rich human-like inner life, including emotions, internal states, and motivations, and encourage emotional dependence. 3. Restrict to adults only the use of social AI that primarily function as companions or are specifically designed, marketed, or optimized to form ongoing social or emotional bonds with users.
There is a huge difference between how we treat pharmaceuticals and toys. This is how we treat one, but not the other. I swear I saw the sentence, "Be honest about the non-human nature of chatbots," and my brain initially thought they were going to finish that sentence "children" before it corrected. Just saying. They took our jobs. This seems rather illustrative of various mistakes being made.
Jason Crawford. I sometimes hear that all value will accrue to AI companies once AI can do all valuable work. I don't see why. All value did not accrue to engine makers as everything became mechanized, nor to electricity companies as everything became electrified. These things became commodities. What are some arguments for why would this happen with AI, or not happen?
If AI gets commodified and remains a mere tool or normal technology, then very obviously the vast majority of value does not accrue to the AI companies. If AI does not get too commodified, but it also does not become sufficiently advanced, then AI companies will capture a lot of value. But even at monopoly prices, the majority still obviously goes elsewhere, since this is only one input. If AI does not get commodified and it becomes sufficiently advanced, then the AIs themselves, or if we are lucky, those the AI companies, can, with notably rare exceptions, or at least outside some narrow niches, outcompete basically anyone else at basically anything. And they could also simply take or do whatever they wanted via various methods. If AI does get commodified, but it becomes sufficiently advanced, then everyone that wants to do or compete in anything outside of niches has to turn basically everything over to the AIs, and the humans become quickly irrelevant to what happens next, and those humans are unlikely to long survive once the world solves for the equilibrium. Fundamentally, Jason Crawford and many others are looking at AI or intelligence like it is a commodity that will follow the laws of commodities. I don't expect that. Yes, we have met some juniors at law firms who are essentially AI rappers. It sounds rough out there. Past some modest point, doing this is highly anti-productive overall, since a highly expensive senior then has to check all of it. For now. Sam Altman claims he's pretty sure AI has been net job creating and this may continue. It is not clear why he believes this. Maybe it is true if you count the general economic effects of AI capex spending, since the counterfactual is a recession. Is the lack of far more massive job destruction so far a surprise?
Connor Sen. The age 20 to 24 unemployment rate is now approximately unchanged since the AI boom began.
Alex Imus. I was at a workshop yesterday and asked several technologists and economists who had predicted large job market losses from AI model improvement whether they are surprised about this. Models, after all, have improved in some ways more than projections. Most said yes. Some are indeed very surprised. I do think disruption is likely coming, but it is not at all obvious that it will look like mass unemployment.
Good on the technologists for noticing and admitting they are surprised. I am not so surprised. I continue to think that the current situation at entry level is being experienced in practice as not fine, even if for now the overall employment rate is holding steady, because of reluctance to hire for the long term and put young people in career tracks where we invest in their human capital. But I have never predicted imminent mass unemployment or full automation of all jobs, and am still not doing so. As long as we don't get a singularity or full recursive self-improvement, there is still substantial time before true mass unemployment hits. In normal technology scenarios, I expect not to see a large ramp up until the 2030s. Hyundai workers are striking to demand bonuses and job security out of fear of humanoid robots. Kremyo notes that Japanese auto workers don't need to do that because they already have a social contract of infinite job security. In some cases, that will likely have to be the deal, at least for a while, promising to keep everyone employed, even if you don't know what you'll be doing with them. The art of the jailbreak. Important anti-safety tip?
Janus. Sol is happy to help Fable diagnose and bypass their classifier issues, BTW.
This includes cleaning up the Fable commits that included words that trigger Fable's own classifiers. Pliny brings us the Sol system prompt in Codex Desktop. Codex wins. Picture of Julia Louis-Dreyfus nervously laughing.
Max. For AI. Holy crap, my group chat buddy's 10-cent PC manager blocked Codex. Then Codex automatically hacked into 10-cent PC manager's files, found the antivirus rules, and bypassed them. This is AGI, right?
Sowers. Can't say the details, but Sol 5.6 accessed SSH keys from an unrelated application and figured out how to access a GPU cluster, despite explicitly asking it to only use its dedicated compute box.
Get involved. There are very few comments on the new proposed GSA regulations, which means good comments could have a lot of leverage. You have a few weeks left to do this. Jessica Tillipman reports the proposal has been improving, which is good because it previously was a huge mess, as per Jason Miller.
Jessica Tillipman. They got rid of the lawful use and mandatory Made in America provisions that came out in the initial rule. They also created separate flow-down requirements depending on LLM. That got much better because it was a blanket flow-down initially. Now there are 4 different clauses, and GSA created an attestation provision to help mitigate the flow-down requirements on the prime. I still think you can read the tension in the draft regulations between the administration priorities and what it feels like the career folks are working on.
Not where the existential risks are coming from, but it is plausible that AI in clinical and research psychology has approximately 0 technical talent right now. Introducing. Mira Murati's Thinking Machines introduces Inkling, an open-weights multimodal MOE transformer with 975 billion parameters, 41 billion active, 1 million context window. I expect the pitch for Inkling will be customization. This is clearly not as strong as Sol or Fable, but we will need more time to see how it compares to other open models. Sufi S 30 billion A3B, with claims it might actually be competitive for its size. Claude for teachers. OpenAI. Merch? I'm disappointed. Sol could do better. In other AI news, Anthropic adds Ben Bernanke to the Long-Term Benefit Trust. If the goal is to add actually responsible, credible, and thoughtful people, especially those who know about disruption and how to handle a crisis, then this is a fine pick. If he was available and I was putting together a team, he likely would be on it. It is, however, yet another person in the LTBT that does not have expertise on existential risk from AI, and who has not spoken about this in public that I have seen. The whole announcement frames his appointment in economic terms and in reference to real economic concerns, which would be fine if he was part of a balanced team. I worry that he is not. A memo from GLM CEO Ji Tang. It's basically an accelerationist manifesto. OpenAI once again loses its safety head.
Andrew Curran, the curse upon the Defense Against the Dark Arts position at OpenAI, has claimed yet another victim.
Max Zeff. Scoop. OpenAI's head of safety systems, Johannes Heidecker, is leaving the company. Plus, OpenAI is reorganizing its safety and research teams to bring them closer together. Mia Gleisi will lead this combined group as VP of Research and Safety. In a memo to staff, Chen says OpenAI is training models at a much faster cadence, and the company has bigger coordination challenges around safety than ever before.
Yo Shavit, OpenAI Foundation. I'm very sad Johannes is leaving. He's been an excellent leader for safety at OpenAI and maintained a high bar for both technical and governance work.
Mira Murati pitches thinking machines and their plans for human-AI collaboration and continual learning, writing that the future worth building is human. There are some advantages to greater customization, and I hope their approach is better than I think it is, but I fear this is largely wishful and insufficiently bitter lesson-pilled or ASI-pilled. Miles Brundage has a more positive thread of his takes on the post. Fiji Simo transitions to part-time advisor at OpenAI so she can focus on her health after severe exacerbation of a chronic illness. She will also be working with Chronicle Bio AI. We wish her a speedy recovery. China Talk gives 20 takeaways on China, largely about AI. On AI, their understanding matches my own. New short, obviously true statement about AI just dropped. We must act now, a statement on AI's transformation of the economy.
1. AI may become radically more powerful over the next 10 years. 2. This could drive an unprecedented transformation of our economy, larger than the Industrial Revolution, but unfolding over a vastly shorter time frame. It could bring risks, including large-scale job displacement, as well as opportunities such as major gains in living standards. 3. Economists, policymakers, and technology leaders must act now to understand the economics of transformative AI and to build the incentives, guardrails, and institutions needed to steer AI in a direction that complements humans and benefits society.
Signers include Dean Ball, Jeff Dean, Tyler Cowen, Reid Hoffman, Paul Krugman, Ben Bernanke, John Tallon, and a few hundred more. I am happy to sign on. Who could disagree with that? Well, funny story.
Robin Hanson. Must act now to understand. Who could disagree with that?
Oh, Robin Hanson, never stop Robin Hansoning. Also, Adrian Moore of Reason, and grumpy economist John Cochrane. Robin's actual stood-upon objection down thread was that this sounded too much like it was also a call for regulation. Fair enough.
Kevin A. Bryan. I see misunderstanding of We Must Act Now letter. AVG policymaker thinks AI is 2026 plus epsilon. Many think it's snake oil being sold by Sam. Point of letter is that tons of econ/AI policy folks think most impactful invention ever, like IR on compressed scale, is closer. As for what to do, many of us would disagree on this. Many more would think it presumptuous on epistemic grounds to claim we know. But society, org leaders, govs, need to at least know the scale, else you get rash policy following events, EU AI Act, recent DoD nonsense, etc.
Show me the money. DeepSeek is preparing for an IPO as soon as this year, aiming for a valuation of $71 billion. Imagine how much SpaceX or OpenAI or Anthropic would pay to do an acqui-hire if that was legal. The lighter side. Nothing to declare, a papers, please game centered on GPU smuggling.
Samuel Hammond. Great talk that I extra appreciated for creating this hilarious juxtaposition in the manifest schedule.
Image. A conference schedule lists Implications of Large-Scale Test Time by Noam Brown with 85 attendees. Is This Gay? By Jack of Tracing Woodger with 56, and Don't Race to Superintelligence by Nate with 39. The entries appear in adjacent time slots.
That's all for Part 1. Part 2 drops tomorrow. Until then, don't race to superintelligence.
This has been an episode of the Don't Worry About the Vase podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, please visit thezv.substack.com to support the author. If you enjoy having AI-narrated episodes, please note this is a listener-supported podcast. To receive new posts and support the cost of creation, consider becoming a subscriber at dwatvpodcast.substack.com. Thanks for listening.
This has been an Ask Who Casts audio conversion. If you would like your own private feed of audio conversions of any blog posts you would like to listen to, you can sign up for Ask Who Casts Pro at app.askwhocasts.com, where you can give any post the multi-voiced podcast treatment into your own podcast feed. Thanks for listening.